Shopping Center. Now, KTVS 3 News continues.
The state of Louisiana is taking a second look at its criminal justice system. The state leads the nation in incarceration rates, and critics say it's expensive and simply not working.
And tomorrow, a task force will unveil its recommendations designed to lower the number of inmates in Louisiana prisons and to help them from becoming repeat offenders. Our Jeff Beinfor has a preview in his Architects In-Depth report.
Louisiana spends about $600 million a year on corrections, but repeat offenders remain high. The Justice Reinvestment Task Force has put together ideas designed to address both areas. The task force, in its 9 months of analysis, is led by State Corrections Head Jimmy LeBlanc, supported by legislators, judges, sheriffs, prosecutors, defense attorneys, and religious leaders. It's all an effort to make good on Governor John Bel Edwards' campaign promise that Louisiana will not be the incarceration capital of the world.
When you look at Louisiana and the history that we have as a state that literally incarcerates more people per capita than anywhere in the civilized world.
Over the next 10 years, task force recommendations would save the state more than $305 million and reduce prison populations by 13%, resulting in 4,800 fewer inmates, but still less than the 5,500 proposed by the governor.
There's always this undercurrent that maybe the state isn't approaching criminal justice in the most fiscally sound way, and that's the mantra for 2017.
Let's take a look at some numbers that illustrate the need for criminal justice reform. Currently, prison populations stand at about 35,700 across the state. The new recommendations would reduce that by 4,000 by the year 2027. Additionally, the number of people on probation and parole would drop by 16%, 11,400 people. Those changes alone could save Louisiana $9 million in the first year. And here's how our state compares to our neighbors when it comes to incarceration rates. Louisiana has 816 prisoners per 100,000, compared to 599 for Arkansas and 584 for Texas. Reducing those numbers has attracted lots of attention from the ACLU to business.
You also have groups that traditionally aren't interested in criminal justice reform, but are now, like the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry.
They realize that having a state that has the reputation of having the highest incarceration rate in the world is not good for business.
Let's examine some of the recommendations the task force agrees on. Most of these suggestions affect nonviolent and low-level drug offenders. Penalties would be lowered, there would be more opportunity for parole, and more incentive to get off parole once they're out. But the committee is divided on parole for those convicted of certain violent crimes. Under that controversial proposal, inmates convicted of murder would become eligible for parole after serving 30 years or reaching age 50. That's known as the 30 Christmases rule. Those serving sentences for rape and robbery would become parole eligible after serving 20 years and reaching age 45. When it comes to the idea of reduced sentences for violent crimes, one case expected to be in the debate is that of Donzel Hogan of Bossier City. At age 14, Hogan was arrested for robbing and killing 91-year-old Ladella Scott. He's being prosecuted as an adult and, if convicted, would serve life in prison. DA Skylar Marvin says Hogan should never be paroled, even if he was a juvenile when he was arrested. Some other areas the task force agrees on: the habitual offender statute, used to stiffen penalties, would apply only to serious first offenders. It could not be used, for instance, to create a more serious charge for simple drug possession. Task force also wants to eliminate the mandatory 10-year minimum for felons caught with guns. Violent felons would still serve a 1-year minimum. Others would serve 1 to 20 years at a judge's discretion. A big area of disagreement on the task force comes from the powerful District Attorneys Association. The DAs want all violent crime sentences to be off the table. They're opposed to any early release of violent offenders. There are many more recommendations from the task force, but this is a pretty good cross-section. Keep in mind, it's all about increasing public safety and saving taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars.
It's all about the dollars and cents.
One topic is what to do with the savings. The task force wants to reinvest much of the savings into prison alternatives like drug treatment programs.
Criminal justice reform that is also on the table in Arkansas.